Hello, welcome to all our beautiful creators out there. We are coming from Cupixel live, and this is our creative break. I'm Elana Mokadi, artist and founder at Elana Mokadi Art. I'm crazy about vibrant colors and optimistic compositions. And in this creative break, we are going to be playing with watercolors. This is also watercolor month. So we are super excited to use them in any shape and form that we can find. And this is just a way to create a nice abstract watercolor art of its own, or to make a nice background like that for a tracing that you can do after the color will dry up. Also, I want to say hello to Nick, our amazing videographer. Without Nick, we cannot.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Can they see you?
No. Not today.
Okay. So they're gonna
But
miss
they
you
can
until the Thursday live.
I'm like the Wizard of Oz right now.
Yes, wow, the Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
amazing. Am I Elphaba or Glinda? The materials that we're going to be using for this experience are pretty cool. So the first thing that we will need is a spray bottle, a mini spray bottle with water. And if for any reason you don't have it available, you can use two brushes. One will be accumulating water, and the other one will be helping you to spray the water onto the page. Okay. Then, of course, we have our amazing Arteza pen watercolors. I have a variety of different watercolors, but if you have only a few of them, it can work great. Also, I wanted to show you that for this artwork, I used the Arteza watercolor tubes. So it doesn't really matter. You can use whatever you like as long as it's watercolor and as long as you know the saturations that you are looking for. And by the way, this is an artwork that I created without this spray bottle. Just for those of you who don't have it available in front of you, I will show you how to do it as well. Also, we want to say hello to our Instagram users from Arteza that are joining our live today. And we would like to see what you're doing out there. Maybe you are at work and this is your creative break. For me, it's a creative break, a real creative break. No thinking too much, just relaxing and creating a beautiful symphony of colors. So I think we're ready to start, and I will just grab the water spray bottle and I'll show you how I begin. So I chose this is really important, yeah? So I actually used paper towel underneath this time because I am not going to be tracing today. So it's paper towel that is going to take in all the residue that is going to come off the page with the water. And then I am using a watercolor 7 by 10 watercolor paper, and I will start with one area. So the way it works, and I'll show you both techniques, is if you want to make sure that it splashes not in a single line, that it has a very nice misty spread on the paper. And I like to start from the top. You can decide to turn your paper around. There is no right way for it to go. So let's just start. Okay? And if you're hot, you can also put some on your face. Okay, so I'm just applying a little bit in one area on the upper part of the page And then I'm gonna let it drip. It can drip to the side, it can drip to the bottom. It doesn't really matter. You'll see what happens. The fact we are actually working today with two of the most amazing things. One of them is water and the properties of water, and the second one is gravity. Okay, and maybe the third one is color, right? Because we're dealing with art. So I'm just going to choose, this is something that I didn't say probably before, but I'm gonna add it right now. So I have two brushes here, one also by Arteza. Both of them are round. One is bigger, one is medium. And I'm just gonna start using the big one by dipping it with water and then choosing the brightest color that I have on my palette, which is the yellow. And I'll explain in a second why, okay? See how the page gradually absorbs the water, so you can tap it a little more. And then all I'm gonna do is just put one drop, okay? And I'm gonna let it start moving. And of course, gravity will take it. And also I am going to help it move in different directions. And this is how you work. You don't work with dry paint. You just you add water to the pan, to the paint that you want, and you just wait to see what way it's going to spread. There's also another way of moving the color by adding a little more of the spray, spraying the edges. So just like this, okay, and then letting the color flow with the water. So the water is dictating where it's gonna go. And I'm choosing yellow for a reason, okay? I'm choosing yellow for a reason because I wanna make sure that this color is not going to meet its purple, for instance, that it's complementary colors to it, because if it's gonna meet the complementary color, it's just gonna turn brown. The same will happen if we add red to green, okay? So I'm very mindful of that, and I'm just gonna go and add a little more water with this same technique and add a little more yellow to go around. So this is just the beginning, okay? And of course, I would love to see what you're doing if you're with me today. I would love to see your playfulness and what colors you're choosing. It can be very saturated, it can be only two colors. Now I'm gonna do the same thing with orange. So I'm going into the orange color, adding a lot of water into it and going into the yellow, but on the side, okay? I don't wanna cover all my yellow, but you see how the water is going in like a spider web almost, and you can tilt it the way you want to create this beautiful abstract effect, okay? And then you can add even more orange in areas that are separate. So you are choosing the colors. Just remember not to blend purple into this. Purple will go underneath, so I plan the composition a little bit, just a little bit, so I know that I'm having some of the oranges and the reds on the top, and maybe leaving a little bit of white space if I decide, white dry space, if I decide to add contrasting color, okay? And I'm also not covering everything in the middle, all right? Now, if I wanted to go with a brush, okay, instead of the mist, and if you have clean water, then you can use clean water. But if you don't have clean water, you can use this water as well. Just dip the big brush in your can of water, let it drip for a sec, and then just go and use the other brush to spray some of the water this way onto the page. Okay, so here we go. And here you have to be a little more, it takes a little more time, a little more effort. It's a little more spreading the water all over, but I'm gonna show you what it does, okay? So now I'm gonna bring yellow again over here and just drip a few drops, okay? And then you can see that it also spreads in a very nice way, a little different than this spraying. And then you can just touch the area of the drop with your brush to let it go in a different direction, okay? And then you can always go in and use the paper to get rid of what you don't want anymore. Okay, so I'm going to continue with my spray now that you know that you can work only with the brushes and with water. And meanwhile, I want to ask Nick of what do you sense? I always like to ask him because he has a very good sense of color. What color would you use for this part if you want it to be really colorful? Okay.
I think maybe like a blue, not too dark, maybe like a light blue. When I see it, it reminds me of like, I don't know why, like sort of up in the clouds or like the surface of the sun. It kind of reminds me of, what is it, Hermes?
Oh.
That's the energy
Hermes.
I'm getting. Yeah, I can almost kind of see like a person there outlined.
Wow,
like the head and the top,
that's
right?
amazing. And this is another thing that we can talk about while I'm going to add a little bit more orange, and then I'll take your advice.
You know what? Maybe red, actually. I think blue might actually take away from it.
You think?
Yeah, why? You think you liked blue?
Well, I was going to go with it just to,
Yeah, I mean, it's two different directions. Red will definitely make it more fiery and more cohesive with like the vision I'm seeing, but...
Because look, if we're going, you can go only with reds. You can definitely go only with reds. But what I'm seeing is, especially, after you said it looks like sky, right? So I can put another drop of red over here, and then it's just going to travel with the water. I don't even know where, but it creates this kind of a maybe sunny sky. I don't know. And then maybe we can add here some blue to show that it is sky, right?
Yeah, and actually you're right, because I kind of just blended in and the balance didn't change really. Okay. It kind of feels the same, Okay. So we could still go blue. Like on the bottom.
Let's go with blue. Let's go with blue. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to spray, again, I'm going to spray the bottom. And I'm very cautious with blending red. It's not exactly red. It's this orange with blue because it might create a brown, but you want to make sure that if this is a look you're going for, then it's not a big deal at all, right? So it really depends on what look you're going for. Okay.
And Elana, just for our viewers on Instagram and such, do you want to just do a quick recap of what you're doing here?
Oh, yes, definitely. Hello, my wonderful Instagram viewers. So we are doing a beautiful Cupixel creative break, and we're just enjoying spraying water on a watercolor surface and using paint to create watercolor paints, Arteza watercolor paints, to create a beautiful, colorful background. And it can be a beginning of an artwork that then you can find in, like Nick was saying, the sky in it, or the trees that are in foliage, which is too early, but we will come to that as well. Or you can just create an abstract artwork, or you can make a nice background and then go back when it dries and trace something on top of it and make a really nice, complete artwork out of it. So many choices to go around with it. And for our Instagram users, please share with us in Spaces. If you're participating in this activity, please go ahead and share with us in Spaces what you're doing. See, it's inevitable. They do travel together. And so I'm just adding a little bit more watery green over here. And if you don't have, if it's a dry page, then you can move the color with the spray afterwards, okay? You can just move it in the direction you are looking for. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is a beautiful way to create a gorgeous composition. Now I'm going to spray this part and make some pink in it. Okay, gorgeous composition. And then you can try to find images in this composition. When it dries, you can also layer it. See how amazing it turns. You can also use this technique if you want to create flowers. So if you spray only in the center, in the right direction, of course. Okay, if you spray in the center and you dip it in purple, in pink, maybe here again, it can spread in a way that when it dries, you can see flowers over here. So many things you can create, but just remember, this is very big and important. When you are doing that, always remember that if you're not looking for brown, don't mix complementary colors. So don't mix yellow with purple, and don't mix green with orange or red. They're gonna make brown for you, okay? So just be mindful of that, and then you can play like I do right now, okay? Now I already see my composition, so I'm gonna go in, and I know there's water here, and so I'm just going to add dots of pigmented water in, and I make it as saturated as I find that I want it to be, okay? So this is the blue, and then maybe I want to add a little bit more of purple over here next to the pink, okay, to make it a little more dramatic. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with the purple and add it in. You can always tap with your brush if you want the color to be more saturated. And also be mindful of where you're tilting your paper, what direction, okay? So here I find that I need a little bit more of that turquoise. And so I'm going to spray only the side, okay? And then go back with turquoise and with water and just tilt it in a way. Okay, here it needs help. See how it stops? It's so cool. When you don't have any water there, it just stops. So I'm just going to let it. Okay.
So real quick, we have a couple questions on Instagram.
Yes, please go ahead.
Kiara is asking, will the paper warp when it dries?
Will the paper?
Will it warp when it dries?
Will it work?
Warp.
Oh, depends on the paper. If you're going with watercolor paper, then it's going to look like this. See? It's going to look like that, and it's really sturdy. And then if you are not scratching it, you're just dropping the color on top of it. You can do many, many layers, and the paper will stay exactly like very thick and wonderful for whatever painting you would like to create on it. So it will not warp if you're using watercolor paper. Definitely if you're going with just, regular paper, it might, but that's why we work with watercolor paper. And thank you, Chiara, for your question.
The next person, Tristan, asked what kind of paper are you using? So
okay, so I'm using an Artsmith watercolor paper. It's 140 grams of thickness, and so you can find it literally in every store. You can find it in Joann's Fabrics. You can find it online, and you can use any watercolor paper because it has a really, really dense and very well pressed surface, so it can accumulate. It can take a lot of water in, and that's why I highly, highly recommend on it. So yeah, just play with it. You will sense it, and the minute it dries, it's astonishing how you can literally create art on top of it. And I can even go to this paper, okay, that is completely dry, and I prepared it in advance, and you can see the colors are very well set, and you can work on it. It doesn't warp, it doesn't do anything. And if I want, I can decide to do even another layer. Let me show you. Like I can decide to just go with a dry brush and create this beautiful, beautiful additional layer on what already the water created. And it will look really cool. So there's a lot of variants to work with. Yes, and the paper is super important. Okay, so now I think that I'm happy with the amount of water that I applied. And the paper is pretty well saturated with water. And so now I can just add color. And because I really love saturated color, I'm just going to add another layer and then wash my brush and go to the yellow with a washed brush and add more yellow, okay? And look at this. Because it's watery, it's diluted with water, look how amazing it turns to be. And then, of course, you can help with your brush if you want. For instance, if you want to cover all this, you can add some brush tapping. But the tapping technique is really, really working here well. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the aqua again. And add some water. Okay, and if you have a situation like that, that it's not moving and the paper is too dry and you want it to move, you just move it with the spray bottle, okay? Wherever you spray, it's gonna go. Okay. Okay, all right. Look at this. I'm so excited about it.
It looks tasty.
What? It looks what?
It looks tasty.
Yes, it looks like, I don't know what, flavors of, it looks like a candy store. Oh my God, if my daughter would have been here, Abigail, woo, she would enjoy it very, very much because she loves candy. Okay. See how I'm adding it? And I'm trusting that the water is still not dry. So it actually goes like little spider webs into the paper. And so if you want to add some more pink on top of the orange, you can do that. You can add more red in the center here. See how it changes the composition? It makes it, yeah, tasty. I like it. Wow. See? Like the water takes it all the way. And another thing you can do, and this is really cool, you can wait until it dries and create maybe a few of those. You can go with larger paper. You can go with, again, as long as it's watercolor paper, go larger. Make a really amazing impact. And then you can maybe add a nice black and white photo that you print on top of it, right? So endless possibilities. It's like really, really endless. Okay? And I can go like this forever and ever. Like I can see here, for instance, that I can add maybe a little bit of green. So I'm gonna spray some water, let it move, like the color, my yellow move, drip it a little bit like that, and then maybe go into the green and just add a few dots of green, okay? And see how it moves. And then it turns into this beautiful composition. Another thing you can do with that, you can wait until it dries. You can decide on the orientation of the dripping, right? And then you can imagine maybe that there is a tree over here. And when you do that, you can add even more orange that it's coming somewhere here, okay? And let it spread. And then when it dries and you really, it looks like a tree, not a skynik anymore. Changes, right? Then you can go in and add a trunk of a tree, okay? And really add almost like things that will imply that there is something, there's like a form that you see here. Like for instance, if I will take this brush and I will imagine that this is the trunk, okay? If it's gonna be a dark trunk, I can literally make a nature painting here. And then I'm gonna cover all the white spots, and maybe even this one, I will cover it. Or I can decide to turn it around and then see what else I can find. It's almost like searching in the clouds, right? It's the same when we find different forms. And then maybe I'll add a little bit of the blue here, just for okay.
So Kiara on Instagram is wondering, is there a limit to how much paint you can saturate the paper with?
Kiara, no. Actually, no. It's pretty amazing. You can let it dry and go again. And see, you can do try and error, because I don't think there's a limit. Of course, you don't want to drip it, like have it all filled with tons of water, right? Because it's going to start falling apart. But that will happen after a very, very long time. So you can literally create, like you see, I'm adding more water and it just takes it, okay? I'm adding more water with pigment, and it takes it in. So as long as it's damp, you can add layers and layers of color on top of it. And definitely, if you want to color, add, you know, like in this area. Okay, I just added water. Look what happens. They just travel with gravity in different direction. Okay, and I can do that too as well, like here as well, in the center. Okay, and then maybe get some brown going on. Again, if you want that, if you're looking for that effect, just showing you the amount, endless amount of things you can do with it. Okay, and connect all of it together, and then just let it drip. Okay, so actually you're keeping your paper all the time with a very, very light water surface, and you're not touching the underneath of it. So that's why it's like you can really, really do a lot with not a lot of water. Now I'm just adding this again, see? And it's just gonna go and travel all around, and then you get rid of the residue just like that. Okay.
One more question from Kiara. She says, if the paint is dry and you spray water to add another layer of pigment, will the layer that was dry reactivate again? And
yes, it will. It will, and I can show you that. I can show you. This is a try and error situation here. This is because of your question. So, for instance, if I'm going to go into an area that was dry before, and I'm going to spray water, okay, here, what happens is there are parts that are starting to reactivate, okay, and we will see a little more color that is coming through, and then you can add another layer on top of it, just like that, and it's going to go with the it's going to travel with the water. Okay, so it's really, it's not going to reactivate like it will on a pan or on a plate, okay, because it went and it went into the page, and there is some of it sitting on the layers of the page itself, but you definitely can reactivate it to some degree. Let's try it over here. See, it immediately turns darker. Okay, and here we go. I didn't add any color here, and it did reactivate. Okay, so it's gonna give you a different effect, but you can definitely do that as well. Okay, that's a cool question, a really cool question. Thank you.
If you want to head over to Spaces, we got a bunch of posts.
Okay, let's see what we have in Spaces.
Tinka went wild. We got
Oh my God, Art Maker, you are amazing. You are amazing. I love this. First of all, it's relaxing and cool. I agree. And you really were very mindful with not mixing it. So I assume you didn't want any brown in your artwork, but it is cool. Tinka, wow, wow. So now you can literally add just paint. Okay, so take the brush if you are looking for a more saturated look, right? So you can go and add a little bit of the blue wherever your blue is, and just see how it interacts with the water. You can go and add purple with a little bit of water, add it to the pan, just like that, and maybe tilt it just a little less because you want to keep it in that area, right? So yeah, like that, okay? And you have a lot of beautiful elements in this background that you're creating. Maybe you want to stay this soft, Okay, let's see. Yeah, very, very soft. Okay, and then ooh, what is this? You added flowers? This is how I created this piece. The only drawing that I did was the vase and the table. That is very, very cool. I love it. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. So if you go to Spaces and you see Tinka's work, you'll be able to see how she used this same technique to create a beautiful vase with flowers, and how she started with spraying and creating this really nice effect, but you had some intention going in there, as opposed to us, that our only intention is just to relax and forget about everything that is happening outside. We just want to enjoy, but I love it very much. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Any other questions? Anything else?
Currently, let's see.
Nick, do you have any questions for me, just in case you have the time and you're gonna go home and do it? Would you use different colors?
I don't know. I was just thinking that because I'm looking at the multiple surfaces, and it seems like it always leads you back to just being like, I'm going to use all of them.
Well, but this is me,
But I love how it looks,
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, but I swear that if you would stay only with yellow, orange, and red, you're gonna get a beautiful, beautiful, burning, amazing art. If you wanna do a blue sky, you can do that by using turquoise, maybe some yellow, and dark blue, and maybe some purple. So just limit your palette if you decide that you wanna do a background that is leading to something different afterwards. If you wanna create an alley with trees, okay, then you can add a few different, start with yellow, then go into greens, and just stay with those colors. Don't add any reds to contradict it. And then when it dries, you will find for sure vegetation that is happening in front of your eyes, and then you can add maybe pieces of either a trunk or a little, how do you call that part? I always forget it. The part of the flower.
Stem?
Stems, yeah. You can add stems and just create a bunch of them going in different directions, coming from one area, and it will look like a beautiful, beautiful bunch of flowers, like Tinka did. So I think the opportunities are endless. I just want to see what you are offering, what you are going to create. Would like you to post on Instagram, post on Spaces, join our live experience next week also, and at the same time our creative break. And also we will be using this same image on the live that I will be leading this Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we cannot...
For free on the Cupixel app.
On the Cupixel app, on the Cupixel app, yes, and I cannot wait to see all of you there with us. Excited for that, and thank you for today, and I am waiting to see what you created with all this abundance of color. Cheers, and have a great rest of your day.